So I will let you start. Who is your number 2 wide receiver prediction?
This one is... I kind of had a going back and forth because they both had good years last year, but I'm like, it's number 2 is only because I feel his wide receiver 2 will probably have a better season than the other one wide receiver 2.
Mm-hmm.
I have Justin Jefferson as number 2.
Okay, I have Jamar Chase at number 2.
I have Jamar, yeah.
You have Chase 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Thielen is going to... I'm not saying... Like I said, they both can be either way. But if wide receiver 2, would you rather have Thielen or Higgins?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like...
But
either one could be a 1.
Oh, 100%, because you could go Jefferson and say he's got Thielen.
Yeah.
Right? So... I put Chase at 2. It's not because I don't think he could be 1. He can definitely be 1. He's got a much better O-line. Like, Joe Burrow's going to have a lot more time to throw this year.
Because they shored up the offensive line.
100%. So now he's going to be able to look at Jamar Chase and not just have to chuck it. 4 games last year, Jamar Chase had under 10 points. I think that will be down to 2 this year. I think he's going to give 20 points per game. I could make a case for both.
Yeah.
The only reason I went Justin Jefferson, Mike Zimmer, the old coach, was extremely run happy. Like, that was his MO. He wanted to play a lot of 12-man personnel, 2 tight end set, run the ball, throw when you have to. Now they bring in Kevin O'Connell, who's offensive minded. He's not a defensive mind like Zimmer. He's going to want to throw the ball first, run second. He's the guy that basically built up Kirk Cousins in Washington. So I think the reason I put Justin Jefferson 1, I think they throw it more. I mean, he averaged 8.5 targets per game. He's never finished lower than 5th in snaps, routes, targets, receptions, and yards, and fantasy points. Add in O'Connell. That offense is going to be much improved. They bring in Jesse Davis, offensive lineman. They bring back Patrick Peterson, Zadarius Smith on defense, a couple cornerbacks. So they're going to give Kirk more time to throw. That's an offense that's going to be underrated, and that's a sleeper team in 2022. So that's the reason I put Jefferson, and it won't surprise me if he's an MVP candidate. So I think we're close. I had Debo. You didn't have Debo. Tight ends, I'm excited to talk to you about tight ends because I have a sleeper tight end that I think I shared with you before the show, and you're probably going to be like, you're high as shit. So first of all, give me a sleeper tight end that you think can break out in 2022.
A sleeper one? I don't have a top 10, but I think Komet from the Bears will have a good year.
Yeah, that's... I just worry about Justin Fields, but new offensive scheme, second-year player, only could get better, can't get worse. Yeah, he could easily be good. So my... So my sleeper tight end is Dan Arnold from Jacksonville. So I'm going to say it first. If you are in a bind where tight ends go off the board, because there's a lot of assholes out there, like they'll take fucking 2 tight ends just to piss everyone else off and just bench one. If you find yourself in that spot and you're looking for a tight end, I guess like it would really depend on what your value for a tight end is. For me, a tight end that can give you 10 to 12 points consistently is probably a good tight end. 4 catches, 60 yards, 5 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Like, and sprinkle those touchdowns in. Like, to me, that's a good tight end in PPR. So I'm going to say Dan Arnold. They traded for him mid-season last year. He immediately had a good relationship with Trevor Lawrence. It's a Jags team that's on the rise. They added a lot via free agency. The only real weapon that they lost was DJ Chark, but they bounced back and brought in Christian Kirk. Bring back Travis Etienne. But, I mean, this guy averaged 7.6 targets per game last year. When healthy, when he played before he had the season-ending surgery, anytime a tight end is averaging over, 6 targets per game, that's pretty good. So the fact that he was averaging 7 with Chark, Chenault, James Robinson was really impressive. So I just believe that if you're struggling with tight end and you need a sleeper, Dan Arnold is probably the best way to go. I think he's valuable. I think there's value to be had. And I think he could sneak his way into a top 10, my opinion. So I'll lead it off. So number 9 for me, Dallas Goddard. Jalen Hurts accuracy issues. You bring in A.J. Brown. You got Devontae Smith.
Who's your 10?
Dallas Goddard. Who did I say?
9. You said 9.
Oh, I went to a public school. So, yeah, Dallas Goddard for me at number 10. I'm not taking him probably within the first 7 rounds, but he was tight end 8 in 21. This is a guy who always struggled with health. Had 56 catches for 830 yards, 4 touchdowns. Probably going to have that same 4 to 6 touchdown. A.J. Brown's going to get a lot more of the targets. But I think, again, right, with value, he's someone that could easily give you 10 points per game. He'll give you a couple of those sprinkles where he might give you 17 to 25. So Dallas Goddard, number 10.
I don't have him 10, but he's not far off. I don't have him up there. Just for the same reasons, most of the same reasons you said. This one might surprise you because I don't have someone in my top 10. I have, for number 10, basically because he's coming off an injury and it's going to be interesting to see. I have Tonyan from the Packers.
Dude, I thought about putting Robert Tonyan in just because of
the weapons, because of the weapons and everything else. And I know he's coming off an injury. I know Don will love me for having the Packers in my top 10, but
he's rubbing one out right now.
It's Aaron Jones and Tonyan, and Cobb and the weaker St. Brown.
Yeah. Yeah, I could have easily made a case for Robert Tonyan to get into the top 10 for sure. I do think the targets will be there. I mean, they got St. Brown, Watson, not MVS, but what's the other guy's name? Lazard. They also got, what's that white dude's name? I can't remember. Again, just he's probably got the best report. Randall Cobb's there. They got, he's probably got the second best reporter behind Randall Cobb with Aaron Rodgers, so he definitely will have a breakout year. They call him like George Kittle too. They really compare him to George Kittle. Who do you have at number 8? 9.
Goddard.
Okay, so we're close with him.
Yeah, he was, and like I said, the reason why Goddard is ahead of Tonyan is because I know Goddard has injury issues, but Tonyan is coming off an injury. He was injured last year, and he's not that. I think Hurts is gonna. I don't know. I want to say Philly's gonna have a good year this year because I wouldn't mind them seeing them win the division besides Dallas, but Hurts is the dark horse.
Yeah. No doubt. Dallas Goddard will be fine. I just, again, these are top 10, right? These aren't like players that we're saying are going to break out and jump into the top 10. Like, if you're in a 10-teamer, 12-teamer, like these are guys that you can easily pick up and be happy about, put in your spot, and not have to worry about the production they're going to give. I'm excited to see who you have at 8. Who do you have at 8?
Number 8. Number 8, I have Dawson Knox from Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah, Josh Allen loves him.
He loves him, but he has to distribute that ball to all those receivers.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, you probably have him higher, or you probably don't have him on your list at all. But he loves his receivers, but he also loves Knox. So he's at number 8 for me.
Yeah, I again, someone I could easily make a case for. We'll see. Number 8 for me, George Kittle. I had Kittle all the way down at 8. Again, as comparison to Debo. First of all, you're banking on this guy being healthy. And here's my logic behind George Kittle. So last year, he somehow finished at number 4 for last year. But it was really like one game he had a bulk of games. So here's the stats on George Kittle. If Jimmy G's his quarterback, he's probably top 10. If it's Trey Lance, he's probably not top 10. He didn't have a crazy year in 2021. He had 6 games under 10 points. He missed 3 games. So that's 9 games right there you can call under 10 points. So he had 8 games over 10 points. He had 1 game where it really stood out. Take away that 40-point game in Week 13. He never blew your socks off. He had a couple of 17s, but the rest were 10 and 12. Like, this is George Kittle we're talking about. This is a guy where people would take him within the first 5 rounds and expect that Travis Kelce production. It was hard for me to put him inside my top 10. I could make a case why he wouldn't be in my top 10. If you draft a George Kittle, you need to have a plan B because it's not a matter of if he gets hurt. It's a matter of when he gets hurt. Like, what is your secondary plan? So he's a guy that I think is definitely going to fall in drafts. And for a miraculous reason, should he fall outside round 10, I would jump on him like a bag of dicks. And I would definitely just make sure you handcuff him and have a secondary option. Really, again, just really depends on who the quarterback's going to be. So that's my number 8. What's your next one?
Number 7, yeah, Darren Waller.
Okay. You think he's going to have like a shorter production just because of
Devontae Adams?
Yep.
And basically the same reasons why you didn't have Devontae that high as a receiver. It's like,
yeah,
it's going to be targets.
It's going to be interesting because I think teams will look to double Devontae, so it could free up Waller, but you can't double team them both.
No.
Right? So it's really going to be schematic on which teams figure out which one to press. The other thing we have to stop thinking of is more towards Adams is Carr is not Rodgers.
No.
Carr likes to chuck that bitch like super downfield versus Rodgers can make every throw known to man. Yeah, I agree with you on Waller, to be honest with you. So to just tell you right now, he's at my number 5.
Huh?
He's at 5 for me. And I'll talk about that once I get there. So my number 7 is a guy that no one's talking about because, again, injuries have plagued him. But when he's healthy, he's really proven to be a factor. Irv Smith. I don't know why I have Minnesota in like the top for everything. But I think he's going to be good, man. Like he's shown flashes. First of all, he's only 23. He's still young. He's been injury prone, but Tyler Conklin over at the Jets now. So he's really the only tight end in Minnesota. He needs to stay healthy, but when he played in 2020, he was tight end 4 when Kyle Rudolph was out. So if he can stay healthy and he has a really strong year, he's someone that not a lot of people are going to target early and often, but he's easily someone that can make his way into the top 10 as far as when it's all said and done. He can give you that kind of production. Again, because I really trust Kevin O'Connell's system, and I think it's going to be a lot of what like Sean McVay was doing with LA, which will definitely favor the tight end. It'll definitely favor wide receivers as well. So Irv Smith for me at number 7. I'll lead the way at number 6. I'm going to go TJ Hawkinson. Not because TJ is not capable of turning it on.
You like those Lions this year, too.
I do like the Lions a lot. Like, no one's talking about them, but I'm telling you, man, they could really... Well, first of all, would they win like 2 games last year? It's not hard to be able to duplicate that. So if they win 4 wins, like that's honestly improvement for the Lions. But that team, man, they've done a lot of great things. You add Penei Sewell, last year's draft, offensive lineman. Jared Goff, he's not good. He's not great, but he's salvageable. Like, Goff or Baker Mayfield, who would you want?
Goff.
Sames, right? So I look at that. What they've been able to do defensively throughout the draft. They have Jameson Williams. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had a breakout year in his rookie campaign. You bring in DJ Chark. Doesn't leave much for Hawkinson. But Dan Campbell's offense is really built around 12-man personnel, which is a 2 tight end set. So there's plenty of growth for that, especially in